If there's like emphasis on a word where you were really trying to say like, oh, this is really important, if that's gone because it's now just treating it as all flat text, or a heading, for example, right? You'll have the objective like splitting things into headings and kind of just searching headings instead, because headings usually encapsulate what's their children, which now that I think about it, maybe that's the move. Maybe the trick is to only search headings. How would that solve the problem? So I'm going to get weird for a second, weirder than I've already been for the past hour and a half. So, okay, and follow me on this. In the English language, I can't speak to any other language, things are usually based off of their heading, right? Like about, strip markdown from text, right? So we have headings that make up text and they're kind of serve as like table of contents. And that's a very common thing. As a matter of fact, it's pretty much panacea. Like everything has titles. This stream has a title. This might make it actually a lot easier, because what I was trying to do before, I don't know, I'm like kind of thinking about it. I'm kind of getting a little bit excited. So like what I was trying to do before was literally go through, either cut it up by sentences and put it in, or eat the whole thing, hope that the document is clean enough that it won't just insert a bunch of bullshit. But now that I'm thinking about it, if the headers are good enough, they would probably update a lot less than file names. And when the file name updates, we can just go ahead and update all of the headers in the file name. So that means though that all we would have to do is go into each file and embed the headings. And then we could automatically jump to the headings too, which would put us, because this is all a proximity search. This doesn't really do exact matching anyway, like we did with this whole Ludwig search, right? Like if I searched Ludwig and I got streamer, Atrioc, cutie Cinderella, that's not an exact match. It's a proximity search. You want to be in the proximity. And a heading is a really good proximity. And if it just doesn't have a heading, it just won't search it. Wait, that's pretty fire. It's not perfect. I think that it's going to be missing out on files that just don't have headings, but then I could just use the file name and embed that too. Does that make headings better than tags then? I think so, because headings are more localized than tags. Like with tags, you can be like hashtag JavaScript, hashtag Markdown, hashtag Node.js, but that's what you would be searching for. You'd be like, let me find everything that's in this tag. But what if the heading misses out on things inside of it? Like for example, if I was just searching for the heading of remove Markdown, it would just get about, it wouldn't get strip Markdown from stuff. And it would embed just what is it? Maybe this doesn't work. I guess it brings up an interesting idea of, if I'm going to be targeting the headings anyway, then maybe I can grab all of the children with it. Is that possible easily? Like everything that falls under that heading, and then just accept that sometimes that will be the whole file. And then if that heading is too big, we skip indexing it. The problem with that though is that it gets kind of complicated, because now we have all of these document or these header level embeddings that all need to point back to their parent file. And that's like kind of shitty. So I guess it's like, that's a pretty good trade-off in between what you would normally get with sentence level embeddings and what you would get with document level embeddings, right? Like, I mean, usually my headings are pretty descriptive of what's going on, because I try to do atomic notes. So for my particular use case, I don't have many notes that aren't standalone, except very specifically readwise disambiguations. It would not work for those. It would need to do something along the lines of sentence level embedding, or just mad chunking. Again, this is like that trade-off problem that I ran into last time, where it's like the goal is to find an elegant way to do this search where you can be confident that the results you're getting are maxed out by the machine learning model that you used, and not maxed out by your choice of sentence level embeddings versus document level embeddings, or something along the lines of where, how dirty your input text is, et cetera, et cetera. And, companies like Google will employ entire engineering teams to focus on just the problem of cleaning up HTML and just the problem of indexing and crawling. And I'm kind of trying to do all of it at once. So I guess maybe now I should introduce, I'll talk about embeddings when I get to it. I want to have like a good algorithm in mind. So there are a few more things that I want to teach about this whole process, but there are a few things that I need to make a decision on just before I can do that, because then I just won't have anything that I moved on. So we have the funny thing is, like, these are all like our givens, right? Like we have our folder structure, our file itself, the vector embedder, And even to an extent, even though there's a lot more choice with the database are all kind of given. The strategy that's played is how do you do the actual embeddings, and then how do you store them in the database, and how do you upsert documents, how do you delete documents, what do you do there? Like, that's the game. The game is figuring that out. The problem is that's really hard. And it's so subjective. I wish I had Mac on Fall Guys. I kind of want to just play Fall Guys right now. Like, I'm so confused about how to do this. But if it works, like, even if it just works like 85% of the time, and I can just be out and about and be like, oh, hey, what was that thing that I wrote down on like April 30th? And then it could just natural language figure out that search for me and just go and fetch that file. Or if I could be like, what was that quote in the book that had to do with this? And it would like go to that file and then it would search for that quote. I guess that's how I would use it. So does that mean that I actually need to embed the whole thing, or can I just embed in time? Like, can I embed in real time? And then just like, if I can have all of the file names embedded, I can just find the closest file name match and then just search that one file. And I had tried this method before, but I tried it in a way where I looked at this biggest chunks that I could get, and then I would choose the best big chunk. And I didn't talk about chunks, but you can imagine just chunks as being this is a chunk, and this is a these yellow things over here are chunks. So this is a small chunk, this is a big chunk, small chunk, big chunk. And I think that worked pretty well. Like, I was pretty impressed with the output, because the second one was that real-time indexing layer that I was just talking about, where you can employ sentence level embeddings. But it'd be really nice actually to not have to store any of this, because if I could just run it if I could just run it live, that would save so much effort. So if I could just have all of the files names and then very quickly choose the one that's most similar to the query that I'm looking for, and then go into that file and embed it as a sentence level embedding, and then take the result of that and give that back to the user. Maybe that's the move, because then I save this whole database ass step where this part sucks. Like, the database part sucks. It sucks because you have to do a bunch of upserting, you have to do a bunch of storage, you have to worry about all this stuff all the time. If I don't have to do that, I would avoid it like the plague. And I might not have to, like, right? I might just be able to, okay, so I'm gonna run a test scenario